I'm sorry, what?
In this episode of I'm Sorry What, an Unofficial Ghost Podcast, Sabrina and Jillian are joined by Andy, also known as Sister Crimson on Instagram. Today's guest gave us new insights on a theory we hadn't heard before. Andy even brought up her own fanfiction, which, she told us, contained an explanation about the ghost lore. Come and join us for this fun episode.
I know Sabrina and I both are really excited to have you as a guest. Yeah, and I love it. I've been following you for a little bit, and I love it when you sing the songs. I love it when you do like the little cosplay. I love everything that you do. So thank you for being a guest.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah. Sometimes I like to start this off by asking, how did you become a Ghost fan?
Yeah. So I've been a Ghost fan since late 2016, probably more like 2017. I was working retail at the time, and just to give some kind of backstory about me as a person, where I was, because I did come from a religious background, like very Christian, non-denominational, but I was kind of disillusioned with the church as a teenager, so I kind of drifted away. So I was kind of open to like different things, right? So I was driving my coworker home one night, and she was saying, "Oh, have you heard that satanic song that's playing on the rock station?" And I'm like, "No," like, I don't know. But it like really intrigued me. I was like, they wouldn't play satanic stuff on the radio. What are you talking about? So I had dropped her off, and I started looking into it. And it was actually Cerise that was getting airplay at the time. Yeah, so that was my introductory song, and I was like, "What is this? I like it." And I just started Googling, and I just was so like shocked about the image of the band. And I was like, okay, but they sound so good. This must not be bad, right? So I was more lenient in my spirituality right at the time. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go dive in. And I think I was just hooked. I wish I could remember more, but I just remember like it was Cerise, it was Papa 3, and I was like, I'm in love. I am sold. I love everything with the imagery and kind of the contradictory images of Catholicism and the church because of what I experienced, when I was a teenager. So that's kind of where it started, and I haven't looked back since. Like,
Yes.
I don't know, it seems like it's been like an obsession. It's like, you're 30 something years old, like, get over it. I was like, no,
Never.
I love the band so much because it's brought me like friends, it's brought me a love and just like this family, this community that I've never experienced before, and it's predominantly for me online. So I really treasure those relationships that I've made online and, all over the world.
Very true. I've listened to your story, but I could not stop looking at this picture behind of you. Is that a picture with Cardi?
Oh yeah. So I can't see it, but you guys can see it. So that is when I met Cardinal Copria on the Rats on the Road tour in 2018. This was in Austin when they were doing, oh no, that's not Rats on the Road. It was a Pale Tour Named Death, because they were having the double show, right? And that was a whole experience. I wish that could last forever, but I know I was so nervous, and it just passes by so fast as the line is like getting closer and closer. You can hear his voice, and everybody's getting jittery. And then people are like cracking jokes, trying to like break the tension, right? Because we're all super nervous. And I actually had made for him a gift, like a book of just like, I think it's kind of cringe now. They're just like very crude drawings of like the ghouls and the albums and just my pictures of things that I took like relating to ghosts. But I was giving it to him. So I had given it to the guy or whatever, and he was just so nice. And he was just like, oh, looking at the book and whatever. And I was like, this is for you. And I could only focus on this part of his face. Like everything else just kind of like was a swirl, like blind. And I was like, so like transfixed. And then we embraced a little bit, we took the picture, and then I got out. And then after is when I just like, I need to sit down. Like I was shaking like a baby deer. That's what one of the handlers said, one of the meet and greet handlers. She's like, you're shaking like a baby deer. And I'm like, I know. It was just over so fast, but he was just like the sweetest. And I don't know, I meant a lot that I was able to give him that book, because there's kind of like a little what I call my delusional moment in ghosts with with a fan fiction that I ended up putting into the book, which is still online. Yes, and I wanted to share that story if I could.
Sure.
because it's just like really interesting. Yeah, so this fan fiction was just kind of, it was written at a time when we didn't really know too much about the cardinal. We're just assuming maybe he's a sister imperator's son. So there's a lot of leeway there with all the stories, right? And in my story, I wrote that he had like a pet rat, a white rat named Clarice. So that was part of the whole lore, right? For my little mythos where I think everything happened. And not long after, I don't know if I'd written it or after I gave it to him, the Knucklebones statues started coming out of
Oh,
Cardinalcopia.
with the
Yeah, and I
with
don't
the white
know if you
rats.
know,
Yeah,
but
sure.
the white rat, and I was just like, there's no way, right? There's absolutely no way because most things take a long time to be produced and approved. But I was like, I have to buy this statue. So I have the statue
Yes,
because to commemorate little
Clarice,
Megan Clarice.
you did that. You did that.
I'm gonna take credit for it.
Take credit.
It was just
Oh my
it was
god.
just so bizarre. I was like, there's no way. Like, so that is a special like moment with this fan fiction, and it's still up. I could probably link it to you guys if you want to read it.
Yes, please.
I've gone back and fixed it because there's been so many errors, and I've also changed the names of the papas to now what people are calling them. Back then, I don't think there was really there were names for them. There was just I was just naming them, 1, 2, and 3. So I've kind of fixed it up to where it kind of makes sense now and it flows a little bit better. But the main meat of the story is there, including Clarice.
That is
I just
so
wanted to share that.
cool.
Like
That's
it was
so
just so
cute, and I love that.
Just know that you have my jealousy for the rest of my and your life because you've met Cardi. He's my absolute fave, and I will regret that haven't had not been able to join the fandom um
Sooner.
sooner. Yeah, just know that part of me is like very jealous of you. Well, I love that. When you
I could go back and do it again.
when you say that you've been listening to like the first song was Cerise, does that mean that you've been around since the Terzo era?
So I think he was kind of on his way out. So my
Okay.
first ritual was in June 2017. So
Hmm.
Popestar, I think, had already been released. And like later that year, I believe in September is when the whole thing came out. Oh, he got pulled off stage, right? So it was the end. So I experienced Cardi. This is my first transition as
Yeah.
a changeover. Other people have been around when Primo left and then Segundo and stuff like that. So that was my first transition. I didn't get to have Papa 3 very long, but
Oh.
I've always said like that's my Papa,
Yeah.
default.
So
So
he's your favorite?
I say he's my default favorite, but now I'm leaning more towards like Copia, because we have him in more context.
true.
There's more personality. I'm pretty sure if Tobias had like as much attention on each of them, there would have been maybe a significant change with who's your favorite, right? I feel like
Yes.
there could have been so much more with 3. I would probably been more love, but I really appreciate Papa 4. Like he's nerdy, he's cute, and he's also this very dark and sexy character. So they're kind of both up there. Papa 3 is my original, he's back there. But, I'm very open to Papa 4.
Does it also mean that Impera would be your favorite album then?
Okay, so it was funny. I was on another podcast and we were ranking all the Ghost albums, right? And judging by the scores individually, Prickell was up there. I was like, there's no way. I love Impera more. Like, how is that possible? Right? So I think I'm gonna have to go with Impera music wise, but there's
Hmm.
still a lot of good songs and themes in Meliora. So they're also kind of like neck and neck. But Impera I've listened to on repeat from front to back more times than Meliora for
Yeah.
sure.
Same.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. The playability of it is way more for me.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of the albums, what do you kind of wish for the new album to, like sound like, have a theme, just in general?
Well, I've been like listening to almost all the episodes of you guys' podcast. And I'm like, oh,
Oh,
sounds good. This sounds
Yeah.
great. So I'm trying to keep my ideas in a box. Like, no, these are mine. I'm gonna go with what I
same.
originally said, right? But I've been thinking about a lot about where he says like the empire is built, right? So my initial thought was I want this album to kind of talk about or portray the spoils of the empire. I'm riding high, we made it, but there's this underbelly, this dark seediness of imminent destruction, because
Yeah.
it always happens, right? That's the
Mhm.
cycle. So I want like these bright songs, but I want them darker and just like creepier, right? And if I could wish for anything, it's like alleged for me with Prikel that that was more of a personal album because it was happening around the time of the lawsuit, right? And
True.
I like to allege like he was really feeling it. That was the breakup album, Rats and Faith and all
Yes.
that. So I would love to see Tobias kind of bleed through a little bit more with whoever it's going to be, if it's going to be Copia or whatever, personal wise, and maybe just kind of touch on these topics that he likes to talk about during rituals, like loneliness, mental health, like just give
Aw.
us more personal this character, because in my opinion, all we've seen is just the goofy side, right? He's
Mm-hmm.
trying to just make it. Let's get into the meat of the things. Let's
That is
talk
a good
about your daddy
job.
issues or something. So I want something a little more darker, but like with a lot of themes to it. Maybe more personal, not so much like political where Impera was kind of writing on, just something a little bit more personal, I guess.
Like a
Yeah. I
sentimental,
love that.
darker papa, basically.
Yeah.
I love that, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. That's like a beautiful answer. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
it
once he's
is.
made it to the top, now he has to sit and reflect, on all of the inner feelings and turmoil.
Love that.
Yeah. So, um, do you have any idea of when you would want that to be released? Like before the movie, after the movie, with the movie?
I feel it makes sense right now, like judging by what everybody was saying, and just like timeline wise, it's probably going to be next year. I would
Yeah.
hope for something to be teased in the movie. That would be like amazing, but I'm not 100% sold on it. And I know he said, oh, they said a lot happening in 2024. I'm like,
Where
where is it? What's going on? Got this much of a teaser. Like last time, it's like when there was no Papa, I made this TikTok. It was like, where's Papa? I was like, here, he's on a game show, on a Swedish game show. He's like singing a song. Where's Summer's Moon? you know? But I took it, right? So no, I think realistically, it's probably going to be next year. I'm hoping for a single or something
Yeah.
with the movie.
Oh,
We'll see.
please. Yeah,
Please,
ending
I
credit
need
song
a
would be the
crumb.
single.
I need a
Yes.
crumb.
A morsel, sir, please. I'm starving.
We are starved for ghost content, which I want to say thank you guys so much for doing this because it has been such an enlightening thing, like bringing the community together and hearing everybody talk, and it's just, oh, that's not fandom right there. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh,
Thank you
so
for
thank you
saying
guys for
Thank
that.
doing this.
you. Thank you for listening and thank you for wanting to be a part of it. Genuinely.
Thank
We
you.
wouldn't be here without people like you.
Um, Enough of that sentimental stuff. I don't have the head for that. But thank you so much for saying that.
Mercy,
Um,
mercy.
when you say that you think that the new album is going to come out next year, do you think that there will still be a, like maybe a live album like Ceremony and Devotion, but for the LA Forum?
I don't see why he wouldn't. I feel like it's a missed opportunity, like
True.
product wise, honestly. Like people are gonna buy it if you're gonna have like 5 variants, people
Sure.
are gonna buy it. And
Yeah.
so much has improved since Ceremony and Devotion. Like there's no telling like the production how it's gonna be, and there's these better songs, in my opinion. And yeah, I don't see why he wouldn't do that. I don't know. It would probably get released around the time of the movie, kind of like the movie soundtrack,
Yeah.
right? I'm
Mm-hmm.
assuming.
Makes sense. When you mentioned the movie, Tobias said in a Metal Hammer interview that this is going to be a movie with concert elements. What can you imagine the actual movie part to be about or be like?
Like, okay, so I love the chapter videos. I think they're cute, but in a long form like format, I don't know if it works like in a
Mm-hmm.
movie. Like I hope I'm surprised if that's the direction he goes. I think that's what they've been trying to do with
Yeah.
Copia. But I hope it has concert elements, maybe more fake documentary like they released on their channel some time ago. I forgot what it's called. Metal Myths.
Melmoth,
That's
yeah.
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
But if it's all like super campy without the actual story flow, I don't know if I would sit with it. Of course, I would stay there, but it's just like I don't know if that's something I would prefer.
I agree.
I agree.
I just watched it the other day.
Mhm.
And yeah, I mean it was funny, of course, but it wasn't like super entertaining. in my opinion. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I also wouldn't want it to be like that. No, I mean, if of course, if anything that has been before, then sure the chapters. But yeah, Metal Myths. It was a quick laugh, that was it. I think. Yeah. Uh,
Yeah. I actually have a new question I want to start asking people.
oh.
What do you think the title of this movie is going to be?
Oh, good
Oh
question.
God. Huh.
We
I
should
haven't
ask
even
that on
thought about that.
Instagram as well.
Let's do that.
Ocean. I have no idea, to be quite honest. Like, I've never even thought about that. It was like, okay,
Same.
what is, if I was gonna think about, okay, if it's called Ceremony and Devotion, the previous one, in what context was that? That was after Meliora and Pope Star. This is our ceremony and our devotion. Could it be sacrifice? Something to do with sacrifice,
Oh.
maybe? I
I
feel like
like
if
that.
it might bleed into, if we're hoping for a darker album, it might bleed into this next phase of Copia or whoever it's gonna be.
Sure, and
Yeah.
it could be that, or like, would the movie title be about, like you say, the coming papa, or about Copia?
Hmm.
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 Yeah, I
I
just
feel like
thought
they
of
would have
something
to do.
stupid.
Oh,
What?
Jillian.
I wasn't getting in depth. Oh, now
what,
this opens up a whole new can of worms.
what is your guess, Jillian?
The Impera Strikes Back.
Oh my
No,
god.
oh my God.
There
And he
is
would.
no way that he there's no way that
I
people
don't
would
know.
approve of that. Like, there's
But
no
I
way.
love the idea that Ceremony and Devotion is like the Meliora live album. And if we take that concept, what would it be for Impera and like the continuation of Copia in this
Hmm.
movie specifically?
That's a
I feel
good
like they would have to
question
give a
too.
lot of lore and context, which I also have a feeling might not happen because
We'll
Yeah.
it's been
manifest
so
that. I need
left
all the
open to
context.
interpretation, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't think they're gonna harp too much on the lore and just kind of sprinkle it in and just like, because everybody already knows, like it's been alluded, Sister Imperator is his mother, like we don't need to go there, even though I wanted to go there.
Yes.
So
I just hope
we'll
we get
see.
some answers. Just a few, please.
Maybe Tobias
I'm
is
just
just
gonna
like
dump a bunch of questions.
like I just know that there will be an interview in the future, and the interview will be like, so yeah, why didn't you really, explain anything lore wise? And Tobias will be like, well, it is fucking common sense, you just have to watch the chapters. And we'll be out there like, no, tell us, sir, what is this about?
No, please. I need to
Yeah.
take notes.
Oh my god, yeah. You said that you think that the album could come out in 2025. What is your guess on the movie, the release date for that?
I want to say maybe, I don't know if fall's too far of a stretch because I don't really know how the timelines work with teasers and
I
trailers.
don't
True, yeah.
either.
Somebody
Same.
somebody pulled a wild hair on Reddit just like yesterday. They're like, "Oh, somebody said there was going to be something on June 22nd," and everybody's like, "Oh, where? Where's the source?" And then the post is gone. It's like, don't be doing that. Be doing that.
That is
It's
And don't
actually
sus.
even play
Tobias.
because June 22nd was my ritual, my first ritual date. So don't. Do not do that to
Oh.
me. So, but that could also be uh, maybe late summer if
Mhm.
we're gonna go that route. I feel that's safe,
Yeah.
but I would
Yep.
have to see more coming from them to be like absolutely sure.
Yeah, like an actual trailer, for example.
Hmm.
True.
Yeah.
True that. When we speak of the movie and the LA Forum recordings, did you see things that happened there, or like did you read about these things?
I avoided looking at images per se and videos. I didn't want that ruined because I know maybe eventually I would see that in 4K HD. Why ruin it? But I've heard a lot of things. Like my friends would tell me what's been already been talked about. So I don't know. I'm intrigued to actually see this thing. Like
Have
I'm
you
Me
excited.
too.
have you heard about the boxing glove thing?
Yeah, and then yeah, that's one of the ones that I heard. I was like, what? How
Yeah,
does that
what do you
work?
think what do you think that is about?
Oh man. I don't know. Like, who could he possibly be fighting? His old man? He's already dead. Like, I don't know.
Fighting a ghost,
Uh,
yeah.
a ghost, which is also kind of a cool theme to think about. Like, you're being haunted if we're going back to the idea of enjoying the spoils of war, the empire, and then, there's whispers coming in, you're going kind of crazy. Maybe he's fighting against himself.
Oh,
I don't
true.
know. Maybe
Ooh.
that's another idea that
Ooh.
I had, is like maybe this character, it won't be a complete changeover. Maybe I like the possession theory, but I also thought about, what about a Jekyll and Hyde persona
Oh,
from like,
cool.
yes. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna be sold. I was like, I want the angel, but I want the devil. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So like, I don't know. There's some kind of twists in there, but I don't know necessarily who we'd be fighting, but
My
that's what I would think would happen.
the only thing that I have in my head when it comes to that boxing thing is the chapter where Mrs. Altarian was training Copia at his beach house. That is
Mhm.
the only thing I can connect with that. Other than that, no clue. But I like that you said the thing about Copia, fighting himself. That would actually make some sense because my theory is still that Sister and Nihil are making him sick. So what if? And
Mm.
I think I've heard that it. I'm not sure who it was that put the boxing gloves, um, on him at the other form. I'm not sure if I remember. I've heard somebody say it was Sister. Actually, I'm not sure if that is true. But if it was her, it would make sense that she's like trying to make him even more paranoid and put these on and
Mm.
yeah, I don't know, like he's having like a psychosis or something. I don't know.
But it also begs the question, if that's her kid, why would she do that to her kid? Like, what is her goal? Like, I know
Yeah.
we like all praise her, like she's this badass girl, right? Like, but what's the plan here?
I mean,
Yeah.
Like, that's
the goal
your
would
adorable
be
little C, like, what are you
sure,
doing to your
sure,
baby?
but what if it's her not having any kind of like actual power over something, and just let's just say he is the Antichrist, and she's trying to get to the actual top and have Cardi or have Copia as a, I don't know, like as a vessel, maybe, and then once he is at the top now, he has to kill him. She has to kill him to get the power for
To be
herself.
the
I don't
ultimate.
know.
Yeah.
I don't
The
think
Great
like that.
Supreme or something.
Interesting.
I have to think about that.
Very true.
Yeah.
When we speak of the Papa, do you like? What is your guess on how the movie is going to end?
Mm, it's gonna have to be something. They'll do like a big number. I guess I don't know what song they ended with. They'll probably make a big deal out of that, and then maybe have a small clip, like a maybe like the cliffhanger, probably hinting the new album. We're probably gonna get maybe a new instrumental, kind of like Devil Church, and just it's
Ooh.
just gonna leave us with more questions and more feralness and more, we're just gonna be thirsting for it. I don't think they're gonna give us any. They're not gonna give us too much information, I guess.
You don't
It's
think
just
that
gonna be
there will
very like,
be?
here you go.
You don't think that there will be the new Papa shown?
Maybe like a very faint image, or it's very dark, but like I said, I feel like that won't happen unless they're going to do heavy lore things, like
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
heavy story. Let's move this
true. Yeah.
along progression,
Yeah.
which would be an actual story movie. So I'm not sure they might
Mm.
reveal it or not.
Do you
Yeah.
think that there will be a new Papa?
No, because I feel like there's just so much he's done with this character, and to drop him off doesn't really make sense. That's why I think there's going to be a version of him,
Mm.
either
Mm.
possessed, Jekyll and Hyde, because it would just be too repetitive. Oh, we're gonna cycle off this pop. Okay, time for a new one. Like, I don't know. Why spend so much on this guy? Spend so much time on
Yeah.
him and then just cycle him off,
Mm.
Yeah. I agree. Because Copia is very lucrative, especially after the Mariana Cross thing. Like if we look at it money and views and popularity wise, I think for at
Oh
least
yeah.
one more album, like
Hmm.
I think it'll be some version of Copia. Although I would love a new Papa. I would love to explore something different. But I do love Copia. I never want him to go anywhere, but if there were to be a new Papa, how would you want him to be?
Well, the thing is, I know they really like Papa too. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but I never got to experience his era or him in the live shows. I'm not sure what kind of personality that would it like have. But I do want a darker Papa. I just don't know. Does that does that transfer over to as big as their live shows are now? Can you see Papa 2 doing this whole thing like in these arenas? I don't think that works. You need to have
Right.
some sort of charisma,
Mm-hmm.
but not be a jerk. You know, if not that Papa 2's a jerk, but he kind of carries himself very like dark, you know,
Yeah.
and not as approachable. So I would prefer a darker Papa, but I feel he's gonna have to have some kind of charisma, some kind of suave, you know.
Yeah. I like
Do
that you brought
do.
that up because I think Tobias has said he wants things to be more theatrical, and now that you've brought that point up, Secundo was not. He was very like he blew kisses and stuff, but he wasn't doing stuff with the crowd. He wasn't moving around. He wasn't doing a
No.
lot. So I don't think having that kind of air about him would translate well to what they would want to do in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Same with Primo.
True.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Where were I? Oh my god, Jen, I just lost it.
I lost.
We're on the future of Ghost.
Yeah, of course. Wow. That's literally this whole thing.
Would you like me to ask the next question?
Yeah, sure. Sorry.
Okay. Do you think that there's going to be any changes to the ghouls or ghoulettes in general?
Oh, I think so. I mean, because every album has proven, you know, every cycle has proven that it's going to be different. Um, I don't know how much. I always think with these outfits, like, how much more different is it going to get? Like, because me, I'm just like, I'm low on ideas. Sometimes it's just like, I can't even come up with something else. Like, the steampunk thing was totally out of left field. Like, did not expect that. So I feel the next thing is going to be unexpected. I would like to see more devilish look because I
Yeah.
feel like Meliora and Perkel ghouls, they were like the best looking ones. Again, Meliora ghouls, special place in my heart, but I feel like Perkel was kind of more the vibe for me, like my favorite style. And at first, when the first images of the Impera girls came out with Papa and that golden background, I was like, what is that? I'm gonna simp for this? What is this? Right, you know?
Don't make it so
But
hard.
I know. Why are you making it so hard? You're just making it worse for me. But when I got to see them in person for the first time, this was right after the bouts of COVID had like kind of calmed down a little bit. So I got to see them in Sugarland. I forgot the year. But seeing them in person was totally different. I was like, okay,
I get
I'm
it.
sold. Like you guys move, that they're still them. Like I understand.
Hmm.
And they're kind of cool. You get used to them. And I love all the detailing, like their specific horns, their little
The patches,
patches.
yeah.
So that was a nice details.
Do you think
Yeah.
they will exchange any of the ghoulettes or of the ghouls?
Who's to say? I mean, they did last time and that was totally unexpected.
Yeah.
And it hurt a little bit, you know. I didn't expect it to hurt me as much as it did. I was like, oh, okay. But if you think about it, like my ghost journey has been with like a certain ghoul like
Yeah.
throughout all these years, right? And with
True.
Ether,
Yeah.
like he's been the constant. And even Soto. So I was like, okay. And when he's gone, I'm like, oh, you know, so
Aw.
who's to say? I don't know how it works. Maybe people have different projects. So it's just you have to be open to that. And I think
Yeah.
people that just latch on too much and have parasocial expectations and relationships, it just really hurts the fandom in general. And it puts them, I know it must put them off, you know. So
Yeah.
it's just good to be respectful and just have an open mind. I would
Very
hate
true.
to see some of them go because I think they have great chemistry,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh yes.
and they're very talented. So it would suck, but you know, I feel like I would trust Tobias's decisions because this is his project. He
True.
kind of knows
And they will
what to do.
even when someone leaves, they're still around. You just have to, get on with it
Yeah,
and yeah, still follow their journey.
you follow them, support their music if they've got any. That's my favorite. One of my favorite parts about that is just like I discovered so much more music, and I love them. You know.
Aw.
Very true.
So if Tobias was to hire more ghouls or ghoulettes, what instruments would you want him to like bring forward? Because I know they had like some string instruments for the LA forum.
I totally see that if he wants to go in a more theatrical way. And we talked about this in the other podcast, how in Paris sounds very much like a movie soundtrack, the instrumentals.
Yeah.
And I'm not a fan of the instrumentals except for this album. They kind of flowed, right? So I would be open to more different instruments, more instrumentals because it would work. Even though I don't trust it and it's not my style of music, it would work. I think it's interesting that we have horns in 20s and we don't have any horn player. Well, can you imagine like a
Yes.
That
trumpet
is
player
true,
or
yeah.
something? It'd be so cute. So definitely I see strings as more like a realistic
Yeah,
addition, to the stage shows.
I agree. Like a like a violin that almost sounds like what is her name? Lindsay Sterling or something like that. That would be
Oh
maybe
my
kind of
Big violin.
God.
nice.
That'd be
Yeah.
dope.
I can imagine that.
Yeah.
Do you think that there will also be a new stage, like the way that it looks or like the background?
Hope so, because from what I've noticed, it's kind of remained the same. I didn't really pay too much attention to the stained glass pictures, but I know like it's mostly been the same. I think the newest thing was their inflatable church things, which was super cool and probably convenient. I was like, okay, let's do more of that. I was a fan of, I don't know what show it was. It must have been one recently. They looked like these little temples. I think that's what I saw. So maybe just more of those if the stage is big enough.
Yeah.
And when Prequel was happening, I kind of liked how the Goulettes were on their little riser and there's like little
Hmm.
chains. His little lionesses in their cage.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, definitely I want different stained glass, more thematic, so much more dramatic things going on in the background.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So, yeah, I agree because I know they switch out some images from time to time, like during the set. I would really
Mm.
love it if it was like maybe a continuous kind of moving, like I don't know, kind of like if they had some for specific songs, like maybe Square Hammer has its own,
Yeah.
or
Like
I don't know.
themed for the song.
Yeah.
It'd be
Like
cool.
Yeah.
I like that. If we change the topic maybe here for a second, I know when we look at the wall behind you, you have some very, very cool things. I see a set list there,
Mhm.
and I see, of course,
Yes, I was
Cardi,
there.
all these beautiful things.
Oh,
Um, would you say that you're like really into buying merch, or is it more a collection of, like memories for you?
um, more memories, even though I do splurge whenever like Hot Topic was coming out with jewelry, I was like, oh, I have to get that. Or just something like the booty shorts and the bralette, just things that you don't really see too often or something
Yeah.
that I've wanted, I'll get that. But I feel most of my things, they're just memories. They're priceless memories to me because I feel like even with the albums, eventually I want to get all of them, right? But I'm not one of those that'll chase after a variant. It's like, no.
No, same.
I'm kind of cheap too. I was like, it's $25. I can do that. I'm not gonna go running after a $70
No.
album. Or I don't know, maybe Ghost might do it to me one day. Like, I love this album so much. I'm gonna do it. But my two albums have been gifts. So, that was nice, to get those things.
I agree.
Mm.
I think like the most I've ever paid for anything music is look, it's my Repugnant vinyl. I've paid more for that than for
Nice.
I think it was like $60 or something, and I was like, oh my god, way too much money. And then I see, I don't know, like like Opus for example, and it is $35 at the record store. And I'm like, oh, that's a lot of money. I'm not sure if I should get that, but yeah,
What a
yeah,
same.
I just cannot imagine paying like $100 for an album. No, no, thank you.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
I would love if my 7-inch red Hecatomb album was $100.
Oh, I
Love that.
know.
But I'm with you guys. I mainly splurge on like the t-shirts. I love the t-shirts.
Mm,
But anything
yeah.
other than that, I have to like sit back and be like, can I justify this? And yes, I
Mhm.
may have bought the dildo when it came out,
Yeah, but
but
that is okay.
every now and then I'll do that.
Speaking
um,
of t-shirts, I used to have so many of them, and I kind of dwindled down the collection. It's like I have too much black clothes, so now I kind of stick to the album shirts. I collect the album shirts, the main albums, and then tour shirts.
mhm.
So this is actually the shirt from my first ritual. And
Aw.
funny enough, like when I went, I didn't get the shirt because it was just it was a crazy day. It was like the first day of summer in Texas, South Texas. It was
Oh yeah.
devastatingly hot. I just wanted to bounce, right? But I was so sad. I was like, I didn't get a shirt. Like I have to remember this. So I scoured the internet and I found it. So now I have my all the tours that I've been to. I have the shirts and then each album. And then there's like a couple variants like the Miasma long sleeve, Elizabeth, you know. So I've kind of narrowed it down. Like I've been really good about that because I had so many shirts.
That's a lot of self-control, dude. I don't have that. Like, good on you. My closet is awful right now.
If maybe if you could talk to whoever, like, if you could talk to Tobias right now and be like, listen, if you made that merch, what would you tell him to make?
First of all, wouldn't be able to talk, honestly. Merch. What could we use?
I think talking
I don't
about
know, since
merch.
I'm not like a
I think talking about merch
huh?
would be the. I think talking about merch would be the last thing, that we
Oh
would
yeah,
talk
I
about.
would probably be like, I have a thing. If I ever met him, I was like, I know what I'm gonna say. I probably won't be able to say it, but I know what I'm gonna
Very true. Very
say.
true.
But merch, since I'm not like a hardcore collector, I
Yeah.
need ghosts sprayed on everything I own. I don't really have like a dream item. I feel like they're pretty well rounded, other than maybe just check in on merch quality because I know it's been a topic and I did a video on it. Like,
I
because a
agree.
lot of people are like, "Oh, why are the shirts misprinted and this is broken?" Just like I know he's not super that deep in it, not all of his skin control, but maybe just mention that, and maybe I feel sometimes those merch companies just pump out stuff that's not really good.
Yeah.
Like it's like, and it's expensive. I was like, no, that's another reason why it's like I don't need it. It's excessive, and it's like I'm happy with what I have, you know.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Perfect
Love
answer.
that. Yep.
Yeah.
Love that.
So next we can get into the theories. I know you kind of mentioned one earlier, but would you like to elaborate on what your favorite theory is for ghosts and why?
I think I'm gonna stick like my favorite theory is probably like the Jekyll and Hyde thing, just because I feel like I can relate to to a shadow self, going through transformations and fighting your inner demons. And I just feel like I relate to that a lot, and I think it'd be a cool thing to see in the music, in the art, and just in the theater aspect.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think the possession is kind of a number two slot because it kind of seems plausible. All this throwback to Nil, like who's
Yeah.
to say, right? If he's gonna possess Scopia.
Better not.
But I think that would be.
Think about the resurrection of a papa theory.
I think in the beginning when that talk started happening, I was like, duh, yes, please give me back my 3, please. I can get erased by 3. No, but as much as I want it to happen, I probably in my heart it's like it doesn't really make sense. I don't know. It would be rehashing old things, and I feel
Yeah.
with music, with art, and maybe with the way Tobias talks about things, it's like I don't see him doing that.
Hmm.
Like that ship has sailed. It's time to evolve.
Mhm.
I don't. I've also thought of, oh yeah, they're gonna do like Russian roulette the papas on stage, right? Oh, that'd be so interesting. But
Damn.
like we mentioned before, not all of them work unless you're gonna do like a certain song off of Opus or Infestissimum where it
Right.
brings that vibe of that papa, then okay.
Hmm.
But then I don't know if I would like to sit through that either. I would be excited probably, but as a consumer, I don't know if it would like
Hmm.
sit really well.
Mhm.
I have to say, I used to be, I don't say a hater, but I've never really agreed on the Antichrist theory because I don't know, I just thought it was way too obvious. But I
Hmm.
like you've mentioned earlier, through all these episodes that we've been through, I've adapted theories from everybody, and I'm starting to like the Antichrist theory. Are you into that one?
To be honest, I don't know too much about it. I haven't like heard anybody talk about it too much, or I haven't really paid attention. Um, it the only callback that I have that it maybe it worked, but they need to like elaborate a little bit more. Who was the old one in the chapter?
Right.
Because that is like the only link for me is like you drop this Easter egg. We have no idea who it is. It's not Saltarian, you know. I don't think it is.
No, me neither.
So who's to know? Like I don't know. I'm not sure I'm like on board with the Antichrist theory. Just yeah, because like you said, it's kind of obvious. Like kind of how they won't cover "Don't Fear the Reaper." So it's just like too on the
Right.
nose.
Who exactly do you think Mr. Saltarian is?
Mm, I would try to say he's some kind of demon, like the angel on your shoulder, but he's the little demon on your shoulder. He's looking out for you, like because I feel like a lot of darkness, a lot of the evil, a lot of the concepts of ghosts, kind of just if you're coming in at it from a godly perspective, Christian perspectives, you can't see what's actually going on. So of course you're gonna assume the little devil on the shoulder is the bad guy. It's like,
Yeah.
we don't know that. Maybe he's looking out for him, like he's teaching him how to fight. I don't think he has ill intentions where I can kind of maybe feel the vibe from Sister or Nil that they want to kind of take over again. So maybe just like a little devil on his shoulder. Yeah.
Can we?
I love that.
Listen, I'm not sure. A thought just popped into my head now that you've said that. Is there, in any of the chapters, is there any interaction between Sister or Nihil and Soltarian? Did they ever talk to him?
That. I was just
It's only Copia ever talking to him, right?
I want to say maybe Sister, like she opens the door by her, she's like, we have a guest. So she acknowledges that he's there.
Oh yeah, true.
Or maybe she can only see him too. So I don't know. That's an interesting thing that didn't happen.
I think I have to watch the chapters tomorrow.
Yeah, I have to rewatch them.
But like, there's never like, yeah, I mean, sure, the acknowledgement, but there's never any conversation happening between them.
Yeah, like even in the car, like
yeah, no,
they're all talking amongst each other, but I don't think she has like lines directed at him.
No.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Interesting.
But realistically, in the lore, no idea. Like, I don't think there's ever been like a hint of anybody. But I just love that idea of like the misconnection, the jealousy, the self-imposed rift between these two women. Yeah. Just because that's how it happens, right?
Well, that is also that is, I don't know, like such a heartbreaking thing to think about also, because like there was a woman before Sister who Nihil was obviously like in love with, if you like following your story, and then that is, I don't know, I like that. You
need to read the story.
I will.
To see what like kind of happens.
I will. That sounds very interesting.
I'll send it to you guys.
We'll block that whole thing out and then pick up where you just said you should read it, and you guys should read it.
But just in case that they will explain it in the movie and this is actually happening, if this is the truth, then I will put out an extra video of just you explaining that part.
Yeah, you got Clarice the Rat. You have the fan fiction now. Girl, if you see any lottery numbers in your future, like
you're like the what is that called in English? Like the thing from Delphi, the Oracle?
The Oracle.
The Oracle from Delphi. That is you now.
That's my new ghost OC, guys. I'll be the Oracle.
Mr. Oracle, yeah.
Oh my god, I love that. Wait, oh my god, where is it? I've lost
She's so unprepared today.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's okay.
It's very late here in Germany, and I'm just like completely lost right now. Oh my god, what is it now? Maybe as a little extra question. Let's say that they will introduce a new Papa. How do you think they are actually going to do that?
It feels like they wouldn't do it at a show if we're assuming the new album cycle is going to be next year. It seems kind of long. If we're going to introduce a new Papa, new album, that would have already needed to happen. I mean, maybe the most logical thing would be the movie, or it seems too cheap to do it in a chapter. It seems too cheap because you would have to make it longer. You would have to kind of give it more context and for it to be meaningful, because I feel the 1 to 2 was a stage change. 3 got ripped off, and then Papa 4 had this moment in Mexico where he's crowned. So,
but Cardi also got introduced.
Kind of cheap.
I mean, Cardi also got introduced through a chapter.
Through a chapter? Oh,
I mean,
well, maybe because he was more of like the B character, it was okay. But I feel like a new Papa merits so much more. So it makes sense to do it in stage or the movie, because you would have time to set that up.
If it actually was a Papa. I mean, it could be something
if it
else.
Was going to be a Papa.
Could be a cardinal, could be a bishop.
It's gonna be the choir boy.
Thank you for watching I'm Sorry What, an Unofficial Ghost Podcast with Sabrina
and Jillian. There's no need to be living in times of turmoil. All you gotta do is check out our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube.
Stay tuned for the next episode, and remember, as above, so below.